All right, guys, so another issue with the VE Commodore that we found when we purchased it, 6 months or so ago. It was coming up with a code for the gearbox torque converter. I think it was PO741. So what was happening when it was locking in, or trying to lock in, when you're cruising, it was obviously spinning because the clutches were burnt, and it was just kept on throwing code. I did go to a automatic specialist here, and they sort of said it needed to be rebuilt to the cost of around $3,500. So I decided to do a bit of research myself, and what I found was it was coming from the torque converter, not the solenoids. From what I gathered, I looked at Marketplace, found another gearbox, pulled the torque converter out, removed this gearbox, changed the torque converter with the one out of the used one I bought, and flushed the oil a few times. It was extremely, there was a lot of filings in the bottom around the magnet, which I'll show you in the clip. And what I did do, because I was flushing it, I didn't have a vacuum at the time, I actually welded in a bolt in the bottom, so it was easier, because with these, they don't have a drain plug, and the only way to get these off is to undo it, let the oil drain out or seep out. It makes a hell of a mess if you don't have the vacuum pump. So that's why I went to put this in. So let's drop it again. I'm going to re-change it. Since I've put the torque converter and dropped the oil a few times, I've never had the code come on again. It seems to be running fine, shifting fine, doesn't seem to be any issues. So I think one more time I'll do a service on it. I'll put a new filter, new oil, and that should be it. All right, let's get this pan off. And try not to make too much of a mess. So, see how much crap's in it this time. Have a look how clean it is now. Gasket. Not too bad, really. Put an extra magnet in there. Which you can see. It's definitely a little bit choked up, but nowhere near what the original one was. That's all filings. Give that a good clean up. So this is the filter out of the gearbox, which I'll bring you a bit closer. You can have a look. They're pretty simple to change. Now to get this off, it's just generally a bit of a tug of war. Slowly. Now there is oil going to come out, so just make sure you're lined up best you can, and just ease it out, because there's a little O-ring up the top. It's coming out just nice and easy. All right, and there's your filter. Not too bad. It does have a little bit of a burn smell, but not too bad at all. All right, let's just let that sit there for a little while, and we'll come back, put the new filter in, close it up. All right, so that's been draining now for a little while. It's pretty clean. Just going to give it a quick wipe over, just a dab. Just get a little bit of this excess. Gentle. There's my dipstick. Then you filter in. Basically, just put a bit of oil around that where it goes into the gearbox. Just helps it slide up into the O-ring. And just gently push it in. Okay. There we go. Just slid in. Okay. Situate it nice, make sure it's all the way in. I've cleaned up the sump and made it nice and clean. The gasket, what I've done with the gasket, I have put a very, very light amount of sealant on it just to help, because these always leak. Yes, it might not be the right thing to do being a cork gasket, but that's what I do. You do whatever you wish. It just seems to be, just seems to help. So let's get these bolts in. All right, so I've put a bit of elastic around the sump bolt just to help it. And just to seal it up, because I don't want to be taking that off anymore. Okay. All right, having a dipstick, it's easy to fill up. Right, so I've got a litre left in there, so I'll let that go down a bit. Now obviously it doesn't need the full capacity because the torque converter's still got oil in it. Okay, so that's pretty well bang on. All right, now let's start her up. All right guys, as you can see, just under 300,000. So let's start her up, and is just select each gear. Let the oil run through. Just keep working through the gears, let the oil run around. Obviously my foot's on the brake. All right guys, we'll let it sit for a minute and then we'll check the fluid level. All right guys, well there you have it. It's pretty simple to change the oil on a 2010 VE Omega with the V6. Didn't cost a huge amount. I think all up for the parts is about $80. So it's cheaper to do it yourself, obviously. So there you go. Enjoy. See you on the next one.